Welcome back to another episode of the Blitz Break here on another Friday. I'm your host, Phil Rasmussen. Thanks for tuning in and joining us in the heat of summer here in July. And as always, I am joined today by our crew here, Justin Ingolia, Buzz Howard, and Julie Shroyer.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, with her buttons.
With her
the
buttons.
Original
with her
OG
buttons.
group. Look at
And
us.
you're rocking our Give Culture, Give Appreciation
Give
shirt.
appreciation. But, I think more attention needs to be placed on her buttons.
That's right.
Buzz.
I think they look great. They're almost
Thank
like
you, Buzz.
medals.
Thank you, Buzz.
You know what they do is they grab attention.
Right. From me. From
Do you
my
want-
face.
do we want?
I need a whole bunch of buttons all over me.
Yes,
you know,
do.
pull
You
the-
Is that why?
definitely do.
Is that why you have your glasses in your shirt for this?
That's
for
right.
This?
It's the move where you look
It's the
smart.
move.
You go,
Ooh.
well, let's talk about it.
That's right. It got
That's
serious.
actually.
It got
I
serious.
think we identified that you have that is a move for you based on
On some videos.
evaluating some videos. We had
The move.
Tara Anaya was showing us videos that he had been sending her for years, and one after
One
another, he
after
starts the video and
start-
takes off his glasses.
Well,
Oh.
and here's
Yeah,
here's
let the man defend himself.
But here's why. And I was trying to figure out, because it's not something that I do intentionally, but I used to send out videos and I'd put my camera, it was able to sit, or my phone, it was able to sit on a little ledge. And I had to put my glasses on
to see.
to turn it on and get it set. And then it would start recording and I'd go, oh, hey, how are you doing today? And
So when you
Oh,
watch the videos
that's-
back to back,
on every video, you can see that I'm like concentrating, and then it turns on, and it kind of startles you, and you go, "Oh, hey, how are you?" So
Except you don't actually see the finger; you just see
no,
you
you just
start
see me
with
Yeah.
it.
start
yeah.
right here,
Oh.
So it's a power move.
Okay, I
I
got
like
you.
it.
So if
I like it.
if I do that, it's
It's,
I'm
if
establishing-
you're not smart, you got to look smart.
exactly.
And if you're,
As demonstrated by these, there you go.
Okay, wait. So you say that, and I won't name names because it was someone in the industry.
I thought you were going to say because he's sitting next to me.
Because he's right over there.
Yeah.
I trained a young guy. This goes all the way back to the early 90s. Young loan officer. He was up and coming. He was like pretty much on fire. And every day he would come in and he would ask me like, okay, so I need to, is this tie better? So he was always working on his wardrobe. He was working. He went and got his hair cut so that, people would trust him more. And one day he came in and he had glasses on. And, I'd kind of walk by his desk and I go, dude, I didn't even know you wore glasses. And he goes, what do you think? He says, do you think they make me look older? And I go, well, sure. And I go, do you wear glasses? He goes, no, these are like clear lenses. He says, but I think they make me look older. And now it was funny because he has been very successful in the mortgage industry.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But he was always looking for either glasses or the right outfit or, the right haircut. And it was funny how focused he was on, I got to look older. I got to look smart. I got to look, successful.
Well, there's some truth to that.
There
First
is, I was
impression.
saying.
First
Sure.
impression, command presence, I think has a lot to do with what you look like.
recognizing and
100%.
understanding that there are things that are, psychological and mental impressions that you make on people. Is a thing now. Whether or not that's a needle mover, but every elite salesperson, everything they do is very calculated.
Mhm.
Is
Well,
very calculated.
And I must say, I look at our co-host here, and you always
Oh.
are like perfect fashion.
Oh, well, thanks, Buzz.
You
But
are.
I think it's
That's always
100%.
since I've known you. I don't know how many decades, but you how
Just
long?
one, maybe one.
one or two. Maybe. One or two, maybe.
three, I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
But you've always been perfectly dressed and all of that.
Oh,
So
well,
something to be said.
I
look
think,
at,
sometimes.
what happened to me.
But I
So-
think there's also some truth to, sometimes we are insecure, so we do whatever we can to make up for that. And I know that early on in my career, I used to dress to the nines because I didn't know anything, right? So at least I had that check mark dial, like professionalism. I had that check mark. Did I know anything else beyond that? Probably not. But I learned it, but I still believe that there is that first impression, and people assess you right away by how you dress. Unfortunately, they also assess you by your physical too, all of it.
Yep.
So I think that's something we could talk about too, but
Absolutely.
maybe another episode.
Well, it's a real, it's a real exercise first and foremost in self-awareness of what your strengths and what your weaknesses are, and recognizing that there's a story being told, and you want the story being told to align with, a positive impression, and our awareness of it is key. But also there are people that have enough confidence, and ultimately a lot of that comes down to confidence in your delivery, whatever that presentation is, right? And I think today, like we've been chatting before, but I think it's a good topic for us to really zero in on. We've spent a lot of time on social media and AI network and the networking environment, but jumping in today on a lot of the aspects of improving your conversion and your results as a salesperson, as a networker. And, I think the main question that I think we can jump into now is, why do, some of the most successful people sell more, convert more relationships? What are some of the things in the practices that they do that make a difference to people in the same space doing the same thing? Why does one win and the other lose in that scenario? So starting with first impressions, what makes someone stand out after one conversation?
We all have opinions, I'm sure. Yeah.
I believe that a lot of it does have to do with, obviously, how you're dressed, how you appear, your physicality, everything. I do believe that has a factor, and a lot of that factor is internal for that person. That
That's a good point.
The more I like my hair today, the better I'm dressed in my mind, because I've seen a lot of people that they're wearing their favorite stuff, and you're going, okay, but so the way that you're dressed, the way that everything has an internal impact that I believe shines even greater than just being in a nice suit or in a nice outfit. I think it's the internal
confidence.
Yes.
I think it's confidence.
Your aura.
Yes.
It's the confidence that you bring, the way that you talk, the way that you interact, then takes over. But I believe it's that energy that you exude.
That's right.
So
I agree with that.
While it's superficial at first glance, I believe that it creates an internal energy and confidence.
100%.
I'm the resident woo-woo one, so I'm glad that you're the one going this route. But it's mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
It goes that confidence and that mindset of, I think, understanding who you are. But you touched on a great point that I don't want to gloss over before I start going into mindset. Is I think what triggers that mindset for you, what triggers that confidence and that level of feeling comfortable in your own skin, I think is a huge thing. And I think that's what you're saying, and that's what you're noticing is kind of, that's the foundation, and then the mindset on top of that. And then the lack of fear of rejection, I think, is another piece of what makes salespeople, gives salespeople the ability to sell better than other people. I think people that are comfortable with rejection are confident enough in themselves that the rejection doesn't, it's literally a ricochet off of them. But it's the ability to kind of reset and back to foundation, back to square one, and back to being confident in oneself. And I think you nailed it when you touched on that. What makes you kind of feel good?
I think when you ask the question, what makes somebody stand out in a room, I think it is confidence. You totally nailed it. Both internal and external. But I think, like, in 3 decades, you've probably rarely seen me in a dress. So
no, I don't. I can't. Well, a few times. I
maybe
do
once or
remember
twice,
one.
but that's a classic example. I don't feel as confident in a dress for some reason. I don't know why. So the way that you dress or the way you look has a big impact on the confidence level when you're in front of an audience.
Yeah.
And then I think the ones that stand out are the ones that make eye contact and really are present when they're meeting people.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones, and they're, like you said, they're fearless because they don't care about rejection. They don't care if you don't like me. That's all right if you don't like me. I'm good with it. And those are your best networkers.
I think one of my favorite concepts that really I think speaks to what we're talking about, especially in the field of rejection, is if you had 100 or 1,000 rejections before you got the yes that would change your life, how quick would you be to get those rejections? You're not interested. You're not worried about, cool, that's number one, that's number two, that's number three. And you're just going to keep going because you're that much closer to hitting that number of, I've hit my 100th rejection. Now I'm good to go. And it's understanding that mindset that those rejections are bouncing off of me, has nothing to do with it. I'm going to get my yes, and that yes is going to be.
That's a great mindset.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, I don't know. There's this kid that I follow on Instagram, and he lives in New York City, and he does custom suits for men, and he just walks around New York, and he does it every single day, and he gets business cards from these guys, and then he has a networking follow up and all of these things. But he has the same line that he says to everybody, and that's, "Hey man, nice suit. Where'd you get it?" And it gets people talking, and they go, "Oh, a lot of guys reject him." It's funny. They're like, I don't want anything, And he walks around in a suit. He looks nice, but hey, man, nice suit. Oh, thanks. I got it at Nordstrom. I got it at Macy's or whatever. Cool. I do custom menswear. You should come see our showroom. Do you have a business card? Yeah, I got a business card. Here you go. And then he follows up with them, and it's like, and then he just walks around New York and he just films himself. And as he's become more popular, he walks down the street now, and people are like, "Hey man, nice suit,"
Yeah.
So-
I mean, that's another pro tip. You always give a compliment if you don't know somebody at all. As somebody, every one of you have like a great trait, right? I actually really love that jacket. So I would go
Thank
up
you.
to you and say, "I love that jacket." And it just puts everything at ease when you give a compliment.
It does.
Because I love that t-shirt.
Thank
Sort
you. Thanks, sort of.
It looks better. Looks better on someone else, but yeah.
It looked a
I don't know,
lot
man.
better on the shelf in my closet than it did when I was walking out the door.
But I think we can agree that cranberry color is a good color for Buzz.
It is a good
And-
color.
So there's
Yes.
your compliment.
I'm
Yes.
pretty sure that there's something wrong with our cameras because as I keep looking at the monitors, I seem to look heavy.
No.
I don't know.
I think I made the joke when we were looking at the camera. I was like, I think it's time for Ozempic. I think I'm ready.
Oh, no.
Oh God.
Well, I think to the point with the compliment and the plan, there is two things in what we just talked about that I think is important. The distinction: are you in a sell and close conversation, or are you in a relationship development conversation? And I think that a lot of times people don't have an understanding or a plan as to what am I actually seeking from the conversation. And where to me, some of the really awkward ones happen is the person trying to sell in the environment that's not a sales environment. You go to these networking events and you'll see people trying to actually sell in that environment, and people are not in a buy and engage in that dialogue state. They're in a connect and do I want to have a business conversation with you, and vice versa. People that are supposed to be in a sales mode, or this is your chance, don't have the aggressive mindset and confidence to go after the sale, and then they leave they don't take the ask step. I just see a lot of that when people are really good and they're confident and they're prepared. They put the confidence with directing and guiding the conversation down a path that they want to go, and then they're able to respond to the person they're engaged with.
It's funny you say that. In the environment that we're in today, so I'm going to take my industry, title and escrow. Everyone's working from home. We don't get the opportunity to get in front of agents and lenders often. So I think when we go to events, we're like, okay, great. Buzz, you look great. Who do you use as your escrow officer? Do you like them? Why do you like them? Like you try to expedite the sales cycle, which isn't great, but we don't have the luxury of seeing this person over and over again. So yeah, if we can build a relationship with a follow-up one-on-one, that's key. That's amazing. But
so I have this is a great subject. I'm actually, how everybody's written books.
Yeah.
okay, so
And you've read one?
I've read one or two
yeah.
books, but I have an outline that I've been working on for years on this subject about sales in the sales cycle, and I love coaching on it because I believe that most people have no clue really what starts a real sales cycle, a real conversation. And I give you the example. I had this conversation with someone, and we've all talked about it a little bit. You know, a lot of loan officers have been taught, hey, every week you need to sit down and you need to make calls to the top 25 agents in the market. And you need to say, introduce yourself, give them your elevator speech or whatever, and say, I'd like to take 15 minutes of your time to tell you a little bit about what I did, blah, blah, blah. And almost universally, we all know that that doesn't work. That almost every one of those agents are going to go, I'm already working with someone. I'm busy. Thank you. But whatever the case is. And, you know, I think that so many people miss all of the clues. And I'll give you guys just one little example. So you obviously bought this probably somewhere better than Nordstrom's even, but you know, she needs to go to an event. So she goes to Nordstrom. She's there to pick out an outfit. And she walks into the building and a little worker, guy, girl comes up and says, thank you for coming into Nordstrom's. Can I help you find anything? Right?
Right.
Normal greeting.
Yep.
What's the normal human being? What's our first reaction?
No thanks.
No
Yeah.
thanks.
You know
I'm
what?
good.
Or no thanks. I'm just looking.
Yeah, I'm just shopping. And what's really kind of funny is that she did it instinctively. What did she do? What did you just do? So humans have, all animals have an invisible force field around them. And you're actually showing them your force field. It's like, no, thank you. In other words, you're keeping people out of your space.
Yeah.
And that's how we do it. Whether it's just going, no, thank you, I'm just shopping. You're actually doing this. You're saying, no, don't come into my space. One of the reasons why when we meet people, we break that space by shaking hands because it pierces that and gives you a little bit of an edge up. It's why you give a compliment, because you change the atmosphere. This has been going on for centuries. It's how we herd cattle or horses or whatever. They all have an invisible force field around them. If you have a cat at home, you go, oh, hi, kitty, and you walk up and they move 10 feet. And then they turn around and look at you. You move to one, they move again. They want it on their time. They don't. It's what humans do. And so the salesperson that comes up and says something like, what's it going to take for me to get your next deal? Or I'd really like to sit down with you and talk to you about, that's what you get. You get the Heisman move. It's like, I'm busy, or no, thank you, or whatever the case is. And so you have to approach sales from a different standpoint. It's like working with, have you ever seen anything with people that work with large animals like horses? Or what do? They usually turn their back to them. Mm-hmm. Dogs, you watch dog trainers, they'll get in the cage with them and they'll sit and they'll turn their back to the dog. And, they'll maybe put a treat out here, but it's like dropping something of value, but I'm not trying to sell you anything. And so this concept, and it's a huge subject, is never really approaching someone and saying, I want your business. What you have to do is say, really nice to meet you. I like your outfit. Do you have one of your cards? Here's my card. And you turn and and it's the takeaway. You're there, but you're not trying to sell them on anything. It's the follow-up contact. It's the nice handwritten note that says, it was really nice to meet you at the SAR meeting, or, hey, I loved your open house. It was the best one that I went to yesterday. And another business card. And it's like, wow, they're not asking me for the business.
Yeah. And I agree 100% with that. If you had to expedite the sales cycle, though, what has worked for me is I'll say, who do you currently use for your title and escrow services? And they'll say, The name. And I'm
So-and-so,
like,
yeah.
you know what? Great company. Who's the escrow officer? The name. You know what? She's amazing. Like I
Yeah.
give them, oh, she's the whole package. She's articulate. She's this. She's amazing. So then they're like they're not on the defense. And then I say that's great. I'd love to like talk about how I can help build your business for just a one at bat. So I can have just maybe one of your transactions that I help you earn.
Mhm.
So now you've taken their choice of escrow and title off the table because we've acknowledged they're great. I just want one opportunity to show you what I can bring you. And that works, you know, if you have to expedite the sales cycle,
Yeah.
but yours is the ideal way to do it.
Well, and
Yeah.
you know, years ago, I sat down with a guy that owned a car dealership here in town, and him and I were good friends. They still own the car dealership, but he wanted me to talk to his salespeople. He wanted me to come in and talk to him about what we did and and what we came up with was the old car dealership. You go to a car dealership, you park your car, you get out and you walk onto the lot, you're looking around, and here comes the salesperson. What's the first thing that salesperson usually says to you?
Can I help you?
Well, it's like a variation.
What are you looking for today?
Well, it's a variation of, you looking for a car today? And most people say, I'm just kind of starting the process. I'm just shopping. And so what's happened is you, instead of really having a conversation, the person did I'm just shopping and they've subordinated you. And so what we did is we came up with a whole different take. Obviously, the salesperson walks out and they say, I really want to thank you for coming onto the lot today. Let me explain to you how the lot works. We've got the new,
Yep.
Hondas over here with, here's these models. We've got a really nice, lot with used cars that are over here. And if you look in the window, here's how you can tell what the prices are. And so you're giving them something of value right up
you're
front
helping
and
them.
without giving them the chance to go, don't talk to me. And then they say, if you need me, I'll be over there. Just wave. I'm here to help answer any questions. And then they turn and they walked away without giving them the chance to go. And they tracked it over a period of time. And if you go to this dealership, they still do it today because it completely threw consumers off where they go, oh, all right. Well, now I know how to read the damn, stuff on the
Sticker,
windows.
yeah.
I know where everything is. And what they realized was that by walking away, they took away the fear of having a conversation. They said that their conversations went out the roof because people would go, hey, could you tell me about this one? And the guy would walk out and go, absolutely, great car. Or this car, I don't like this car, but this was what I would do. And then they would again walk away. And they found that people wanted more conversation and started asking them questions, and it turned everything around for them. And so I believe in this process of you give value. It's just like training the dog. You got your back to him, but you put a treat right here on the ground. And if the dog's ready, he'll come up and take it because the next one he'll take from your hand.
Right.
The same way with large animals. If you walk into an arena and there's a horse that's spooked, you start walking towards them, they'll go everywhere, over the fence. But if you turn your back and you have some food, and then they're like, oh, I see food over there. Pretty soon they're nudging you wanting the food.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot to learn from watching nature, I believe.
Well, and I think there's a component to this that there's some authenticity to what they're doing. Like if you take the car dealership example, and you've seen, and there's other examples that you can see with cold calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where those cold callers will get on and be like, hey, I got good news and bad news. The bad news is this is a cold call. They just lead with, I'm calling for a sales reason. I'm sorry to bug you. And instantaneously you'll see people's walls come down. But same thing with the dealership. Hey, we're just giving you the helpful.
Yeah.
It's one of the techniques that I've used is very similar to what you're saying. the mortgage side of things is, especially when you have a referral and when it's coming from, let's say, a real estate agent or even a past customer, I always say, hey, make sure you let them know whenever they have a conversation with me, their first conversation, we're not looking to sell or do anything or start a pre-approval for them. I don't need documents. I don't need to pull their credit. I don't need anything. I just want to hear what they're looking to do and see how I can help them.
Yeah.
And then what I always do is I work them into a 15-minute conversation. Even if we set an appointment, hey, this is a no pressure conversation. Any reminders that they get is it's a no pressure conversation. Hey, don't worry, you don't need any documentation. And all of that, in my opinion, the reason I did it that way for me and my sales cycle, if you will, was to just disarm. Because eventually, because you have to get to the point where they start asking questions like that. I can't sell you a car if you don't want to tell me what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I need to know what you're looking for, and I can let you know, hey. And the truth is, I think honestly, or at least maybe for me, the way that I resonate with sales is you want to be that consultant that helps. You want to be that individual that is developing a true relationship. Hey, I will give you my opinion of being in the industry 25 years, but ultimately it's your decision for your family. So if you want to do a 15-year, I see the benefit in a 30 or whatever that is. I'm more than happy to do it. I'm just going to consult you, give you my opinion, and put the ball right back in your court. What would you like to do? What do you think feels like the best decision for you and your family? And then that way they can tell you, well, I don't know. I guess maybe a 30-year makes a little more sense. If I can make the same payment that equals a 15, I didn't know you could do that. Well, you can't have that conversation if you can't disarm.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love all that.
You work on the relationship side as a salesperson with referral partners and strategic partners, and then client conversations. And we're jumping in and out of two different types of relationships in this conversation. And I think that's kind of the point that I think salespeople struggle with, is that there's consistent behaviors and habits, how you approach a strategic partnership and a working business relationship, like a B2B type environment, is different than a customer. And it comes back to identifying what's valuable. Everybody's saying kind of these different, aspects of seeking out what is valuable to make. You're not going to sell someone something successfully and consistently that is not of value to them. So what are some of the things that people do in your minds that are great and successful ways to identify and understand the value that is available for them to fill the need in? Like exploring those questions. When you see someone, you sit down, you want to find out, what could you do to be of value to them?
Oh, so the question is, how do I find out what they value?
Yeah, what's value to them? You have an idea of what you can offer that may be of service, but you don't know what is of value to them in a partnership, what their needs are. So you've got to ask the right questions to get that information.
The simple question is basically, I know you love that title company. What could they do? Could they do one thing better that would make you happier? And I get him talking about the one thing that usually ends up to be 2 or 3. And now I can equip myself to say, okay, this is how I can help this person, because that title company is doing everything right except for this. So that's my only opportunity right here. If I capitalize on this, I'll get that one opportunity, that one at bat to get a shot at their business. And let me show you how we are over here.
You're literally asking for the blueprint.
Yes.
How can I be successful with you? Is
but
really
you're
what
still
you're asking.
Acknowledging how great their title company is. Like, they're
That's right.
amazing. What's one thing they could do that might be better?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
that's how I do it.
Inquiring indirectly and
Curiosity. I think that's another key component.
Curiosity is the deal. Like, are you selling? You're not really selling when you're talking. You're selling when you're listening, right? And you get your partner or the client telling you their story. To me, I think the thing that is really important when you're inquiring is trying to find out what gets them talking. What is the emotional trigger that gets them going? Like, I always find it interesting when you're meeting somebody, you could ask them a business question and get a canned cookie cutter business response. You can ask them another business question and maybe you can see that their eyes light up, and that's something that inspires them. And now you've got a chance to get to know them. Sometimes you get asked that personal question about their kids, their family, something that triggers them to open up and actually give you an answer that is authentic and engaged, not just a canned, like, let's keep this. How are you doing today? I'm good. How are you? You know, those types of
I
conversations.
think always asking them, what do you do for fun? Like, forget about this work stuff we're talking about right now. Let's talk about, like, what do you do for fun? And then their little light goes on, because they'll have a nonprofit, or they're like, I love hiking. And once you get them on what they do for fun, that's typically their passion. And then you can really connect, because hopefully you have some alignment there, right? Like, oh, you love to snow ski? I love to snow ski. You love to golf? Oh, where do you golf? And then it just goes, oh, I love this course, not so much this. You know what I mean? It's finding that commonality on what their passion is. That's the gold.
Yep. Without a doubt. And the being curious and asking questions takes patience and not rushing a process. Right. You can, again, it's to me, it's an art form. It's not a science. In these conversations, you've got to recognize the responses that you're getting. When do you hit the gas? When do you hit the brakes? When do you coast?
And that's a really tough for a lot of real high performing salespeople. Sometimes patience is not their virtue.
Awful.
And
awful.
It's mainly with drivers. It's true. It doesn't have to be type A or type B. It doesn't have to be any of those things, but it's those drivers that are just like, hey, we want to go. We want to get to the conversation. Let's get you do this. Go.
The old throw up and shut, show up and throw up.
Yes.
Concept of, I already know what you need and blah, blah, blah. So having the patience to actually ask the questions.
So true.
Is really tough for a lot of people. Because they would, they get excited and I already know what let me tell you what you need.
That's me, Buzz. I know. You looking at me? Why are you looking at me?
Oh, well,
because you're right.
Yeah.
But we've determined you're more of a driver.
Yes. And I am, like, I'm more of an A to B conversationalist. Like, let's just clear it all out. How can I help you? But there's people that aren't like that. And that's a gift. You got to identify what type of person you're talking to. Because if they're cerebral, they don't want to do A to B. They want to know the whole story and how we're getting there.
Yeah.
And, I'm like,
or if they're a power and,
yes,
him and I deal with someone that's huge power.
Okay.
That they don't want the story. They don't want all the descriptions. It's like, can you say it in 10 words or less?
That's me.
I don't need all the. You don't need to tell me anything.
Even better if you can do it in 8 words.
Yes, and yeah. So the different personalities, you have to be able to judge them pretty quickly.
Yes, another great sales skill is self-awareness, knowing who you're talking to and what pushes that. That's a great sales skill.
I'm going to touch on something. I don't know. I'll get your guys' opinion on this. But in all the years of...
We're already scared of it.
No, It's good. It's good. No, I think it's good. It's because there's not a right or wrong answer. It's just something that I've noticed with talking to salespeople and being around salespeople majority of my career. I think a lot of salespeople are people pleasers. I think I've noticed that not always the best ones, because I think some of those key drivers, they could care less. They're results driven, but I would say a core group, a majority, I would say probably a majority of, you'll have the outliers, but the majority of salespeople are people pleasers, because they are desperate and they're seeking the validation of making that customer happy. And I think a lot of times, and I see it with loan officers when they're trying to close a transaction and something doesn't go right. They take it on, they internalize it like they made a mistake. If there's something that was outside of the control, we had something this week where a wire was sent and it just didn't make it to the title company in a time where they could record. But the loan officer was so like, I just don't know how this could happen. And it's like, it was their fault that they messed up, that they did something. And that's not necessarily the case. It's just the wire was sent at 1:00 and we needed to release to record by 3, and the title company's bank hadn't verified the wire by 3. Sorry, but it's just that I've noticed that. So I don't know. Am I out of left field, or
I
saying
believe
that,
that a lot of salespeople they thrive on the acceptance and the pleasing someone else.
yeah,
And that's what drives them.
yeah,
I think salespeople are a mixture. I don't know that I think it's a specific lane. I think you probably are interpreting the pressure of them analyzing how much time it took to develop a relationship, and then the fear of losing that relationship over something going wrong, and the reality that if you're ultimately the face, it falls onto your shoulders in the client experience. So
no, that's true.
So I think in general, and that's a part of the role, is that you are making commitments for an entire experience, and how that goes ultimately falls on you. Now, there's ways that people deal with it ultimately better. And I think the people that handle it better, it goes back to a pretty baseline theme: abundance. When you are out generating enough leads that you are comfortable with walking away from bad partners, transactions that aren't well, your internalization of that is able to be
Mitigated,
separated out as this is not a good business transaction relationship partner. But if you're in the scarcity mode and you're very worried about losing that, which is what I do think happens to a lot of salespeople that are struggling, there's in that scarcity fear of not just this, and it's all the things that could happen if the client or the partner's not happy. And that translates into, I think, that mentality of like, I've got to please them in every way just to secure the relationship.
Wow.
And that's
fear is a incredible driver.
It absolutely is. And so is confidence that I can go get another deal. And what, to me, in all of this, the people that really stick out and win in sales, they're confident they can go get another transaction, and they're living it. And so when they see something that's not right, they understand the balance of, I don't need to sell now because I have a pipeline of people. My job is to sell when you're ready, and my job is to deliver value and understand. And, in a lot of sales roles, I think people get into sales that aren't yet really salespeople. They get into a role because they can provide a skill, a service, a resource, and they're learning sales. And so that interaction is an art, and you see those balances. And I think lending, real estate, it's a mixture. I think it's just like human nature. There are great technicians that get into real estate and mortgage, and their sales skills are the thing they need to work on. And then there's phenomenal salespeople with a gap in their technical execution. Those people tend to be pretty confident going through because they know in their comfort zone they're going to go and generate. What do you see as one of the most common mistakes that, like, you see? Like, if you go to an event, Julie, and you're interacting with people, what are some things you see where you're like, almost it's an off-putting thing, or it's something that jumps out to you?
Well, I was going to say from a sales perspective, what I see the biggest mistake is salespeople go and show everything they have in their toolbox to somebody like Justin, who might not care about any of this except for one component. So I think they don't listen enough from a sales perspective. They have to listen and find the need, and then show them one or two instead of just the whole gamut. So that's one. In a networking situation, what people do there that might be off-putting is, I get frustrated when I see salespeople in our industry that go to a networking event and sit at a table of people they know instead of people they don't know.
Yeah, you're not networking.
It's a missed opportunity to build a relationship with people. So that is probably, and I see that every time. I see it at PCAR. I see it at every event that I go to.
Yep.
And I've been guilty of it too. Sometimes when I'm not in the mood to network, I'll go sit with my team, and it's easier that way, right? But I think we all need to get uncomfortable.
I agree with you on that. A lot of people go to these events, and networking is really the last thing on their mind.
You're right.
Whether it be drinking, which, that has its own issues.
I was going to say, our industry tends to have most of our events around drinking.
Right. So, that has its own, but it's either they're drinking, or they're there just for the food, or they're there with their buddy and they're not really interacting with people. So there's a lot of things that you go, I don't even know why they're here. Because you go up to some people and, hey, how's it going? My name is Buzz. And it's like, and then they walk away. You're going, okay, so either you're not interested in me or you're not interested in networking. I'm not really sure which. It's like,
I mean, you see that a lot at every event.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that I think is a big miss. And these network events are just a small window to network because they usually have the presenter, right, for an hour. And so you got the beginning and you got the end. That's really all you have. So then to sit with them or get uncomfortable and meet people that you don't know right out of the gate and at the end, huge waste of time. It's a waste of time.
Well, and I think the main topic that we haven't yet got into that complicates that and starts, I think the people's struggle with meeting somebody, shaking hands, getting an introduction, again, is what the expectation is in that interaction. And whatever you accomplish in that is not the sale. Everything that is actually going to convert into a meaningful is in the follow-up subsequent to that introduction. And that is the area that, this is not a new idea. If you go to any event where it's all about your follow-up, it's all about the execution 100%. And the consistency, and through your actions demonstrating that you're trustworthy, consistent, reliable, are focused on generating value and finding ways to interject yourself into that, individual's life, business in ways that reflect an awareness of what is valuable to them. How can you be of service? So let's talk follow-up, and from the angle of connecting with new partnerships and with clients, and what's the best practice in that.
Well, I think you nailed it. That the follow-up, the win is in the follow-up, which a lot of people don't do. And I think people don't understand that it takes like 6 to 8 touches before they even give you an opportunity. So you got to continue to follow up. But the best follow-up is either the same day or the next morning. Mm-hmm. So if you meet somebody at PCAR that morning, if you could follow up that afternoon or the next day that quickly, it's like, this person's organized, she's systematic, she cared about me, she followed up. That right there will put you ahead, I would guess, knowing how many salespeople I know, probably in the top 10% that do that. I bet you not many people do that.
They don't. And it's, I've always been, and I talk about this sometimes, we have, Thankful Thursday on my messaging, on a daily messaging, and I put it out there because so many people forget the gratitude piece, and they forget that is, everyone loves to be thanked or to be acknowledged, and that is a key component. And one of the things that I always, if I'm coaching someone, it's like, if you meet someone today, tomorrow morning, first thing, you organize your day, but the first thing you do when you start your day is gratitude. I always do my gratitude first thing in the morning. Whether it be a text or an email or whatever the case is. For instance, I met with a couple of guys yesterday, real estate firm. And first thing I have their cards. First thing I always do after I meet with them is the very next morning, first thing, 6 a.m. in the morning, they're getting an email that says, hey, man, it was really, thanks for going to lunch. You loved what you're doing, whatever the case is. And again, not asking for the business, just acknowledging, hey, thank you. Maybe say, I'll be following up with you on the items that we discussed. But just a gratitude makes a huge difference.
Huge.
Most people don't do it.
You're right.
Well, the gratitude is also a reflection of delivering an energy and an appreciation that begins to show the client that you're more than just trying to convert them into a transaction, right? And I think there is a very clear energy that you can see between someone who's in a transactional relationship with you and someone who's building an ongoing relationship and how they approach everything.
100%. I think after, and Buzz, you said the initial email or card is even powerful. A handwritten note is kind of
Handwritten
a
cards
lost
are
art.
amazing.
But they are, right? When you get them, you're like, wow. I
If
know.
you have nice handwriting.
But another really great effective follow-up is like a week later, you do a video text. It's so easy. And you get the voice inflection and you get the, hey, how's your weekend? How was Tahoe? How was
Yeah.
whatever? You know what I mean? And then now you're starting to glue like a real, like you said, a more quality relationship. So that's another follow-up tactic that has worked for me.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, we were talking networking events, and this is, we're moving to follow up, but just going back to the networking events just a little bit, is meeting someone new and sparking a friendship, you know, not friendship as in like, we're going to go hang out, but more of, I don't know you. Who are you? Where do you work? What's your deal? You know, do you see success in that? Or, you know, I think it's just finding new people in the room and trying to find that versus trying to sell. It's always been something that I think for me has been a little more successful, or at least that approach.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're going to try to build that rapport quickly,
Yeah.
Going back to the personal instead of talking about business, like what, and then hopefully when you ask them what they do, you can connect with that passion and then, you know, have a real down to earth, authentic conversation.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
also
worked.
think it helps. The reason I brought it up is I think it also helps with the follow up.
Yes.
Because by doing that and meeting someone new, now I have something
to talk
we have
about.
something to talk about. Or, oh, you work for this company. Do you know so-and-so? They work for this company. I've known them for 10 years or whatever. They work for like Julie's company. Have you met Julie? Let me introduce you to Julie. And now you can say with the follow-up, it's nice to meet you. I'm so glad that I was able to introduce you to Julie, and you're just making connection points.
Or what's even better is if you can do even something more personal, like if they're snow skiers, like, hey, the last day for the Epic Pass is August 1st. Don't forget. And they're like, oh my God, she remembered. I was a skier.
Yes.
That this would definitely save me hundreds of dollars. She actually cared. So if you can connect with something on a personal level that would help them with their passion, again.
I think that's a strategy I've used for years and found it to be very successful, which is finding out things that people are interested in is a great way to set your next opportunity to get together, right? Whether it's, you know, you said skiing, golfing, going to a particular area, like they like a specific, restaurant, you go meet for lunch there. But the other thing that I've used, follow-up is an opportunity to show people, you know, your consistency, your professionalism, but it's also a way to figure out how to meet them where they are. And in my experience, there are two types of people when it comes to follow-up and setting appointments. There are the people who really like it to be scheduled out and they plan their calendar and they want to go out, you know, a week in advance. And then there's a lot of people, especially in our industry, that they don't plan their calendar a week ahead, and their weeks are so what comes in, and so they're really more likely to commit to something within a 24-hour window than they are to commit to something 2 weeks out, because
who knows what's happening in 2 weeks.
And so I've been, you know, over the years I've had this, I'll shoot for, hey, you want to get together next week or 2 weeks from now? And then I'll do I'm calling you on a whim on a Tuesday. Do you want to get together today at 3:00? And found that a lot of times that will get you that appointment, because they'll do it day of, or they'll go, oh, you know what? I can't today, but I can tomorrow. And especially if you've got something that's interesting. I did it quite a bit, actually. You know, during COVID, I would do it a lot, where I would go into a city and it would just be kind of a spur of the moment. And a lot of people have their days plans, and you expect that, but people who don't, it's almost like a spontaneous, you know, action. So I try both of those things with people to see what will resonate and work with them.
What has worked for me is when I do the follow-up to meet with them one-on-one is I give them 2 days and 2 times and windows. And I think that gives them, like, her time is valuable. She didn't give me like, hey, I'm open next week. Because when you say that, they're like, what does that mean? Like, what? I don't even know what day to pick. But when you pigeonhole it to a 2-hour window, like 10 to 12 on the 7th and, you know, 8 to 10 on the 12th, whatever, then they're like, okay, cool, I can fit that in. And that's been the most effective for me.
That absolutely another good strategy. And I think the those little tips as you play the different angles, it's helping figure out, and you're learning about that person as you go in what kind of calendar management and scheduling they operate in. Some people, I'm sure, when they get that tight window, they go, well, that doesn't work for me. I've got this. And then and I'm sure
they'll
you know how to
propose
pivot.
another time,
Propose
which is
another
great.
time.
Yeah, and you can say, I think I can move some stuff around.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a what's the guy's name? He's a motivational speaker from way back. McKay? Was it McKay that had the
Maxwell
envelope company that?
Oh, I don't know.
He wrote several books and was big, and his salespeople, I believe it was an envelope company that sold envelopes to commercial companies. And he wrote a book about his salespeople were required to get to know, obviously, all of their clientele. And they had 50 questions that they had to figure out about their clientele. And that's how he judged them on how well do you know these consumers or these customers based on these 50 questions. And that allowed his salespeople to, if they knew that they were a golfer, maybe a small gift that they would do would be, a sleeve of really nice golf balls.
Yeah.
Or a pair of gloves, or, something. Hey, I was at the course and saw these. I picked them up for you. And it allowed them to really get to know their clientele and then target all of the communication around whether they're a skier or they're a golfer or they like the theater or whatever. They were able to talk to them on their level, and everything was geared around that. Especially if there was any gifts involved or any activities, hey, we're, a bunch of us are going to Top Golf. Would you like to come? Stuff like that really drew people together.
Yeah.
I think it's Harvey McKay.
Maybe. I was going to ask you, can you buy your consumers gifts that you do loans for?
Sure.
Yeah, we can.
Sure.
So a great
Closing gifts, do it all the time.
Yeah, a pro tip is you look at their credit card statements. Do you get to do that?
We don't look at necessarily their credit card statements. In other words, as a lender, I look at your credit.
So you don't see where they purchased
I
things?
don't.
But there is a possibility of seeing bank statements.
That's
Bank
okay.
statements.
So
yes.
bank statements, and then you see where they eat out. Because if you looked at my bank statement, you would know my top 3 restaurants. You'd also know what I do for fun, right? You would know that, and then you could do like a surprise element. And I know that that's the wow factor that we haven't talked about yet. But that is the big differentiator that I've seen other lenders do.
Yes.
That then that person then tells their 200 people, oh my goodness, Justin and Buzz and Phil are the best lenders in the business, right? So that creates the wow factor. Then they tell everybody.
Yeah.
So I think we need to talk about that too, because that's taking somebody by surprise, and that is so impactful.
Well, the ones that I know that do that very well have a very well outlined series of questions of things that they ask in the process, in the intake, to gather that information, and they're watching and researching those exact things, to your point, and they pay attention to it, and they have a system built, and like anything, consistency around it is what makes a difference. And one of the reasons that we build our systems to create that opportunity for our loan officers, right, is that take all the thinking out of the logistics of being able to do it on a repetitive, scalable basis, and start getting very targeted in a meaningful, impactful, gift. A gift that has no connection to somebody is not going to resonate in the same way as having something that connects. Same thing with the point of finding the activities. People's time is valuable. Inviting them to do things that they already are interested in is going to result in them looking at it going, it's worth spending the time because it's something else I value doing, as opposed to, taking a meeting with a potential, business or partner doing something I have no interest in. Like that's not worth my time. Right. So you're 100% on that.
So it's a scene out of Show Me the Money, Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
When those in the beginning, a lot of those guys that were doing sales and managing those athletes, you would see them open up their computer when they'd make the phone call, and you could see them reading down. It was like, hey, Bob, how's the kids? And, is little Mary out? So they're reading down, and because they have all of those questions answered. They know their wife's name, their kids, what school their kids go to, what their kids are involved. How was the soccer game? And if you really think about how you act with your best friends, it's smart, because that's what you do with your best friends. It's, you're just calling to catch up with your buddy. And it's like, so you've been spending a lot of time on the soccer field with the girls. And it's like, oh my God, dude. Yeah, we've got another tournament this weekend. And it's like, oh my, yeah, it's going to be hot this weekend. And you start talking about his kids, the soccer tournament, and that opens up the whole conversation. And, so if you ever watch the movie again, watch
great sales movie.
It's a great scene because you can see the guy on the phone, and he's actually, right before he talks about the guy's kids, he goes, yeah, how's Mary's soccer going? And you can tell that he's reading down, and it's just a really, now in the movie, it comes off a little,
slimy,
yeah, because they're trying to make it look like, okay, he doesn't really know him. He's reading off of a script, but it's very intelligent to have all of that knowledge. That's why that book that I was talking about, these 50 questions, man, if you knew all that about every like realtor or client that you're working with, what kind of difference would you have on the conversations?
And there are programs like that out there now,
all over the place, and
So-
doing it efficiently.
Yes.
Like that's the thing. I mean, as you're describing some of these things too, but I think the key thing, you got to be able to do it efficiently, because you can't sell and meet goals and sell if you spend inefficient amounts of time trying to do that. So the system is about being efficient to deliver the same service and experience, and prioritize your own time in maximizing the impact of a 30-minute conversation or a 15-minute conversation. So give us our tip of the week, Julie.
Social media tip of the week is people will post reels, or they'll post on their TikTok, or they'll post on their Facebook, but they won't post it to their stories. So there's a difference. So you're actually capturing a completely different audience and going into a completely different algorithm. So just if you're going to invest time to create the video and post it one place, make sure you post it to the other as well. I see a lot of people miss that one step, and they're just wasting so much of their valuable time when they could be getting twice the exposure.
And would you say that the stories is a huge opportunity to grow your following, that
Yes.
triggers more followers or subscribers or engaged audience, because it's a current active engaged?
Yeah, and it pushes it out to new viewers. So you're getting new viewers on this and that.
So stories along the top of your page,
They go away.
but are those that, so if let's say you go down the rabbit hole and you start looking at reels, the stories come into reels, don't they? Is that kind of how it works?
If you post a reel on Instagram, then you can program it to share to your story. So the reel will stay there, but the story will go away. But what the story does is somebody who doesn't know Buzz will be like, oh, that's interesting. And they'll click on it. And that's when they'll be able to go straight to your account, which is what you want them to do. So it's just giving another set of eyes to your content. And I think people miss that step. I'll tell you, I was on TikTok for how long? 6 years. And I never posted to my stories. Now I do. I get so many views. I just didn't do it. It was just one step. But you have to go all the way to the right, add to story, frame it. It's one more step. It is. But it's so worth it.
Yeah, that's a great pointer, especially if you're looking to create a new audience off of it and reach new people. Yeah, great pointer, great one. And the proof that getting engaged and using the tool and just beginning is the most important thing to get people over the hurdle, because you can polish, refine, and improve how you use it once you're consistent in the posting and the engagement on it.
Yeah, just start.
Yep.
That's all you got to do. Just start.
Just start.
Just do it.
Don't get hung up in all of the minutiae. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday and was listening to him talk about his desire to launch a podcast that he had an idea for, and I proceeded to hear him do exactly. There was all the planning and all the thing, and I'm like, hold on, man. Let's rewind the clock back to your goal is to engage with your audience, legal space. All those things about the algorithm and how often you post and all that, that is not your ultimate goal right now. So don't worry about whether you can post for 6 months straight. Just start posting and start doing it. And then you can, if you stop for, 3 weeks, yeah, is that optimal for an algorithm? But that's not your goal at the moment. Your goal is to get started. Mm-hmm. And I think people get constantly stuck in this idea of I've got to be at the level 10 right out of the gate versus just get started.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
hit
my
the nail
videos
there.
were not pretty 6 years ago. Go look at them.
Hey, it's a progress. I mean, same thing. Look at the podcast. It progressively gets better the more we do it. The decorations, the scenery, the video. It's all progress. Selling, it's a progress of polishing and improving. So, mortgage moment for the week.
No, I've come to the determination that the bond market hates us. I mean, I think it really does. No, this has been a challenging week, and it's been the same story for quite some time. We've been talking about the problems in Iran with oil, the transportation of oil, that type of stuff. We've been talking a little bit about inflation, and which goes along with oil. So what we have is the two major factors is energy prices and employment numbers. And so there's been this battle, and we'd fought back, and oil had dropped to about $67 a barrel. And then over the weekend, Iran attacked a couple of ships in the Strait, and now our take has been, you know what, we're done with you. We're gonna start bombing again, and I believe the tactic will eventually work because they're gonna run out of leaders at some point. But oil is still hanging in. Matter of fact, it jumped up early in this week. Now it's back down to this morning. It's back down to about $70 a gallon, a barrel. Which is really actually very good. You go back to January, well before the Iran conflict, and that's about where we were. So oil is coming down. Transportation costs will come down. We still have a lot of employment numbers coming in, but there's even some underlying factors there that some people are saying recessionary problems. It all comes down this week, though, is there's a big shift in the Federal Reserve. We've got some that say well, we think we can lower rates. There's some that say, I think we need to raise rates. Yeah. And so there's, with the new leadership there's still a power struggle. And so this week, we are ending the week with higher rates than what we started, unfortunately. And it's the same story we've been talking about for, 3 months, 4 months now.
Yeah.
Is really it's inflation, and whether oil and employment numbers are going to cause us to have more and more inflation. If we see that inflation starts to come down, rates will come down. It's as simple as that. Okay. So don't know what to tell you, but we're seeing higher rates right now.
Market conditions are affected by every move, every announcement, every news cycle, and it's a broken record for homeowners and industry professionals for sure. But all the more reason to focus on the activity and the attention to detail. And with that, I will say 2 conversations I had this morning highlight that all of the successful top 10% of producers have the same mindset. And the 2 that I talked to this morning, both of them were immersed in just more activity, more engagement, more partnerships, more. They're not consumed by all of the noise around themselves. They throw themselves into what they can control.
You know, the news, if you listen to KFBK this morning, was talking about that Sacramento is one of the places in the nation that's doing really well, that our, month over month, year over year activity and production is increasing, and that homes are being built, and they're got a ton of new subdivisions on the docket, and so there's a lot of activity here. So more getting out there more and forgetting what the interest rates are, solving issues for people.
That's
100%.
right. Any final comments, crew?
What do we have? We don't have any more 3-day holidays coming up.
Not
And
for a while.
we have
Labor
the
Day is-
celebrity golf tournament this weekend.
Celebrity golf tournament
in
this
Tahoe?
weekend in Tahoe. Are you going?
I'm possibly. We'll see.
I'm going.
I got
You're
my
going?
feelers out there.
Did you get installed as one of the celebrities to play? Is that
Oh, yeah, right. I wish.
And on the first tee is
There she
Shroyer.
is. Yeah, okay.
It's gone.
Casey will be driving boats up there, so look for her up there if you're going.
wow.
Yes. She charters boats now. She's a captain. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Yes.
She is an interesting girl.
Right? She is interesting. Always keeps me guessing, that girl.
Just moving into likes to find new things to do, right?
Yes.
Very cool. Well, appreciate the episode.
Yes.
What
And
episode is it?
I don't know.
Justin, do you know which one it is?
It's the one where
Alright.
it's the one
44.
where
I
we
think it's
obviously
44.
struck a chord with Buzz because you got going today. I like it.
44, 45th.
It's somewhere in
It was
there.
the conversation that ignites passion. You saw his passion.
but Buzz could definitely go on that. That was your hot button.
Yes, it was.
I keep feeling like I'm a slacker because, I'm this old and have never written a book. And we've had all these guys.
Follow through, Buzz.
we've
Follow
had,
through.
We've had people writing books, and I'm going, I need to write a book.
You do, man. I'll tell you what. With the amount of stories you have, though, you have some good stories. You should write a book, but also including a lot of Texas sayings in that book would be great
too. I think we could bring in, information about steers and things like that, because it's about working with large animals, and so
I'm just gonna say you keep making an analogy to large animals for human beings. You might not totally sing, and people might be sort of offended if you're comparing them to cows and dogs.
It's basic biology.
There you go.
So
I love it.
But good episode.
Yeah.
So glad you were here with your sparkles.
Oh, yes, my
your
buttons. Thank you, Buzz.
Always dropping the wisdom and the
Thank you.
targeted points as well. So, and with that, we'll wrap today. Another episode of the Blitz Break. Thanks for tuning in. As always, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, you name it, we're there, and all the social channels. We'll see you next week. I'm your host, Phil Rasmussen. Have a good weekend.